Joining me now to discuss this, Democratic Congressman from Rhode Island, David Cicilline. Thank you so much for being here. So tell me a bit about these referrals and the impact that they might have, the significance, given the fact that some are already saying, what's the point if they don't have any legal weight?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. As you said, the executive summary is 154 pages, so I think the January 6th committee has done extraordinary work. This was a very thorough review of all of the facts and circumstances, and they had a responsibility once they came upon evidence of criminal conduct to make a referral to the Department of Justice. Obviously, the department will make its own judgment through the independent counsel or the special counsel, but it carries some weight. It's a collection of evidence that they will also make available to the Department of Justice of serious criminal wrongdoing, and they're going to make their report available, obviously, to the public and all the supporting materials. So this was a very historic development by the Select Committee. They did an extraordinary job, and now it's up to the Department of Justice to make a judgment about the criminal prosecution of the president and others.
And Congressman, what will you do, though? You're talking about it being significant. What will you do if the DOJ doesn't follow through? What's the plan after that?
Well, I mean, look, the good news is the Department of Justice is an independent agency of the federal government. They will make their own determination based on the facts and the evidence, and that's our system of justice. It's a good thing that we have an independent attorney general. He's appointed a special counsel. So that special counsel, Jack Smith, will look at the evidence and will make a determination as to whether or not criminal charges should be brought. The good news is they don't care what I think, although I think the evidence is overwhelming that the charges ought to be brought. But the good news is they have to make that judgment independently, and they don't care what we think, and that's exactly how it should be.
And Congressman, I want to put up a graphic. 156 Republicans are coming into the 118th Congress who have either cast doubt, questioned, denied the results of the 2020 election. I wonder, what do you expect from these lawmakers, given the fact that they, in some ways, are believing the lies that the January 6th committee just said were so dangerous?
Yeah, well, it is very dangerous. You know, as the Select Committee has pointed out, and as we all know, your right to vote is sacred, and your right to have your vote counted is essential to the functioning of our democracy. And this effort to subvert that and overrule the will of the American people and substitute their judgment is very dangerous for American democracy. And the good news is the Department of Justice, although they may try to impede their investigation or try to interfere or stop in some way, they have independent authority to do their work, and the rule of law will depend on their commitment to that obligation. So whatever the evidence is, the law will be applied, and they will do what is necessary to confirm and to really protect the rule of law in this country. It's disappointing that people who are denying the election results were elected to office, but we're going to have to stand up and take that on and point out the truth and make it clear why it's so important that we secure our elections and that people continue to have the right to vote and have their vote counted.
But there are some who are just wondering, can Congress really function like this? And what do you expect when you're going to be serving alongside many of these people?
Well, look, we just finished 2 years of delivering extraordinary achievements for the American people. We're going to continue to fight as Democrats for the people of this country to help improve their lives by bringing down costs, bringing down the cost of health care and prescription drugs, and making sure people have access to good-paying jobs. And the Republicans are going to do what they do. They're going to have investigations about Hunter Biden's laptop and about the condition of the prisons in the District of Columbia for people who are arrested for attacking our democracy. But we're up for that fight. We're going to keep fighting hard to deliver for the American people. And I think the Republicans are going to show who they really are. And we'll take the House back in 2 years, and that will be the result.
And you have a bill that would bar former President Trump from running for office using a clause in the 14th Amendment. If the former president is prosecuted, are you going to withdraw that bill? Do you want to still see that bill go through?
No, look, the 14th Amendment makes it very clear that if you have engaged in an insurrection or assisted others in the same, you are disqualified from holding federal office. Section 5 of the 14th Amendment then says Congress has the responsibility to enact legislation to enforce that provision. It is very clear that the president engaged in an insurrection, and he's disqualified from holding federal office. And the Constitution calls on us to pass legislation to enforce that. If he's convicted of that, obviously that happens automatically. But this legislation was introduced because the evidence had been presented that shows that he did engage in an insurrection, and he's disqualified under the Constitution. We took an oath to the Constitution. We're required to enforce its provisions. We can't pick and choose. And the former president, is disqualified under the very language of our Constitution from ever holding federal office again.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Congressman.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.